Sometimes silence is not loneliness, it's therapy. Sometimes being alone doesn't mean you are weak, it means you are healing. We live in a world that tells us to always stay busy, always connected, always available. But let me ask you this: how can we truly connect with others when we are completely disconnected from ourselves? A pause, make eye contact with the audience. Staying alone is not about isolation, it's about transformation. It's not running away from people, it's returning to yourself. Because when you heal, the world around you begins to heal too. In life, we all go through storms, heartbreaks, betrayals, failures, and disappointments that break us silently inside. We try to keep smiling, pretending that everything is fine, but deep down we are lost. That's when solitude becomes sacred. That's when being alone becomes your greatest teacher. When you choose to stay alone, not out of sadness, but out of strength, something magical happens. You begin to hear the voice of God within you. You start seeing clarity where there was only confusion. You begin to grow, not by adding more people to your life, but by removing the pain that no longer serves you. When you are surrounded by noise, it's easy to lose touch with who you really are. Every day, voices around us tell us what to do, how to look, what to achieve, and who to become. The world is loud, full of expectations, opinions, and comparisons. In this constant chaos, the most precious voice often goes unheard, your own. Solitude reveals your true self, because when the world quiets down, the whisper of your soul begins to speak. It is in those moments of silence that you discover what you truly want, what truly matters, and who you truly are. Think about how most of us start our days, rushing from one task to another, constantly checking our phones, messages, and notifications. We rarely sit alone in peace, and when we do, it feels uncomfortable. But have you ever wondered why? Because silence forces us to face ourselves. It brings up the thoughts we've been avoiding, the emotions we've been suppressing, and the truths we've been afraid to confront. Yet it is only when we face those parts of ourselves that we begin to heal. Solitude is not loneliness. It's a sacred meeting with your own spirit. It's like holding up a mirror and truly seeing your reflection, not just on the outside, but deep within. Imagine a person who always surrounds themselves with people, activities, and distractions. They may appear happy, but deep down they might be lost. They may not even know what truly brings them peace or joy, because they've never spent enough time alone to find out. Now imagine someone who chooses to spend a quiet evening by themselves, maybe sitting near a window, watching the sunset, or taking a walk alone in the park. That person begins to notice the little things: the sound of birds, the color of the sky, the rhythm of their own breathing. In those moments, they begin to reconnect with life itself. They begin to realize that peace was never missing. It was simply buried under the noise. Solitude gives you the clarity that no crowd can offer. When you are alone, you begin to listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. You start to understand your emotions better. You recognize what drains your energy and what fills your soul. You realize what kind of life you truly want to live. It's in those quiet hours that creativity blooms, because the mind is free to wander without judgment. Many great thinkers, artists, and leaders found their greatest wisdom in moments of solitude. They didn't fear being alone, they embraced it as a sacred opportunity to connect with something deeper than the world around them. In daily life, you can see the power of solitude everywhere. A student who sits quietly after a long day begins to see how to handle their challenges more clearly. A mother who takes a few moments alone before the day starts finds strength in silence to face the responsibilities ahead. A person struggling with decisions finds answers not through noise and opinions, but through quiet reflection. Solitude becomes a soft guide. It doesn't shout, it whispers, yet its voice leads you to truth. Many people fear being alone because they associate it with emptiness or rejection. But true solitude is not about isolation, it's about connection, connection with your inner self and with the divine energy that guides your life. When you sit in silence, you begin to sense a deeper presence, something peaceful, gentle, and full of love. That's the voice of God within you, reminding you that you are never truly alone. The more you listen, the clearer it becomes. It tells you that you are enough, that you don't need to seek validation from others, and that peace already exists inside you. Solitude also teaches you authenticity. When you spend time alone, you learn to stop pretending. You don't have to impress anyone, you don't have to wear a mask, you can simply be. That honesty with yourself builds confidence and self-respect. You begin to live from your truth instead of chasing approval. You stop comparing your journey with others because you finally understand. Everyone's path is different, and that's perfectly okay. There will be moments when solitude feels uncomfortable, when your own thoughts feel heavy. But that discomfort is growth. Just like a seed must stay buried in the dark soil before it can rise into light, you too must spend time in silence before you can blossom into your full potential. The quiet moments are where strength is born. You start to let go of the need to be seen, and instead, you focus on becoming. In the silence of solitude, you rediscover your purpose. You remember your dreams, your values, and your faith. You begin to see your life with new eyes. Things that once bothered you no longer hold the same power. You forgive more easily, you understand more deeply, and you move more peacefully. You stop chasing happiness in the outside world because you realize it was within you all along. So, when life feels overwhelming, don't run to the crowd for comfort. Run to yourself. Spend time alone. Sit with your thoughts, listen to your inner voice, breathe, and just be. The answers you seek are not hidden in the noise of others. They are waiting quietly inside your own heart. Solitude reveals your true self. And once you meet that version of you, you'll never fear being alone again. Because in truth, you were never alone. You were simply waiting to return home, to yourself, to peace, and to the divine presence that lives within you. Healing doesn't happen when you run from your pain. It happens when you sit with it. It happens in the quiet corners of your heart where no one can see, no one can understand, and no one can fix it for you. Healing is not a moment, it's a journey, a slow and sacred unfolding of strength. When you choose to stay alone for a while, not to escape life but to embrace yourself, you begin to create space for healing. You give your mind time to understand, your heart permission to rest, and your spirit the chance to breathe again. In that stillness, God's presence begins to flow gently within you, mending what you once thought was broken forever. We live in a world that glorifies distraction. When people feel hurt, they rush to fill the silence, scrolling endlessly, working tirelessly, or surrounding themselves with noise so they don't have to face what's inside. But true healing can't happen in distraction. Healing happens when you dare to face the pain, to sit in that silence and ask, what is this teaching me? Because every wound carries a lesson, and every tear holds wisdom. When you stop running and start listening, pain transforms into purpose. Think of a deep wound on the skin. If you keep touching it, covering it, or ignoring it, it won't heal. But if you gently clean it, care for it, and give it time, the body knows exactly what to do. The same is true for emotional wounds. Your heart has the power to heal itself when you allow it to. When you stop forcing happiness and allow yourself to simply feel, to cry, to reflect, to release, that's when true healing begins. Staying alone gives you that sacred space to feel everything without judgment. In daily life, we often meet people who are carrying silent pain. The friend who always smiles but cries at night, the worker who keeps busy to forget, the person who jokes often because laughter hides their wounds. Healing requires honesty, not with others, but with yourself. When you sit alone, there's no need to pretend. You can drop the mask, breathe deeply, and face your truth. It might hurt at first, but slowly that pain turns into understanding, and understanding turns into peace. Solitude becomes the gentle therapist that no one else can be. It listens without interruption, it comforts without judgment, and it gives you the time to process life at your own pace. You start to realize that healing isn't about forgetting the pain, it's about remembering it without letting it control you anymore. It's about saying, yes, this hurt me, but it no longer defines me. That realization is freedom. Imagine someone who just went through heartbreak. At first, they feel lost, empty, and broken. They might want to rush into something new just to feel whole again. But when they choose to stay alone for a while, to take long walks, to journal, to pray, to reflect, something changes. Slowly, the tears begin to cleanse, not weaken. They begin to rediscover the beauty of their own company. They learn that their happiness does not depend on anyone else. That is the quiet miracle of solitude. It teaches you that healing comes from within, not from what you chase outside. Sometimes healing requires doing nothing at all, just sitting with your thoughts and letting time and grace do their work. You might wake up one morning and realize that the pain isn't as heavy anymore. You might see that the memories that once broke you now only whisper softly in the background. That's the beauty of slow healing. It happens quietly, without applause, but its impact lasts a lifetime. Even nature shows us the power of stillness. When a storm passes, the earth doesn't rush to rebuild immediately. It rests, the soil soaks in the rain, the sun gently returns, and slowly new life begins to grow. In the same way, after your personal storms, you need time to rest, to breathe, to rebuild your inner peace. Staying alone allows your heart to recover from the emotional storms of life. It helps you find balance again. Healing is not weakness, it's wisdom. It takes strength to face your emotions, to acknowledge your wounds, and to keep believing in better days. It's easy to hide behind smiles and distractions, but it takes courage to sit quietly and say, I am not okay right now, but I will be. That small act of honesty with yourself is the beginning of transformation. The process of healing may not always be beautiful. Some days you'll feel heavy, some days light. Some days you'll cry, some days you'll laugh without reason. That's how it works. It's not a straight path, but every step, even the painful ones, takes you closer to peace. When you stay alone long enough, you begin to notice subtle shifts. You speak kinder to yourself, you forgive more easily, you breathe more calmly. You start to glow not because life is perfect, but because you've made peace with imperfection. When you allow stillness to enter your life, you begin to feel God's gentle guidance. In that silence, your prayers are not just words, they become conversations. You start to sense that you're being healed not just by time, but by divine energy. Every pain you faced was preparing you to become wiser, softer, and stronger. Healing is not about erasing your past, it's about growing beyond it. So, give yourself permission to be alone sometimes. Let silence be your companion and solitude be your medicine. Don't rush the process. Flowers don't bloom overnight, and neither do hearts. Trust that as you rest, reflect, and breathe, the energy of healing is already at work within you. You are not broken, you are simply becoming whole again. Because in the stillness of solitude, you rediscover what pain tried to hide, your strength, your peace, and the light of your own soul. Not everyone who smiles with you truly walks with you. Life has a beautiful yet painful way of revealing that not everyone who stands beside you is meant to stay forever. Some people come into your life as blessings, while others come as lessons. The truth is, not everyone deserves access to your energy, your heart, or your peace. There are people who will admire your light, but not respect your boundaries. There are others who will love your presence, but drain your spirit. And it's only when you spend time alone and learn to know yourself deeply that you begin to see who truly values your soul and who only values your benefit. We often grow up believing that the more people we have around us, the more loved or successful we are. We measure our worth by the number of friends, followers, or connections. But as time passes, you begin to realize that quantity never replaces quality. 10 voices cheering for you can't replace one heart that truly understands you. You learn that peace is not found in the crowd, but in the company of truth. Some people are meant to be chapters, not the whole story, and that's okay. You can love them, bless them, and still walk away. In daily life, we meet many kinds of people. Those who inspire us, those who challenge us, and those who drain us. Maybe you've had a friend who only appears when they need something, but disappears when you need them. Or a person who constantly criticizes you, making you question your own worth. Sometimes it's not about hating them, it's about realizing that your energy is sacred and deserves protection. When you begin to respect your peace, you automatically attract people who do the same. You start saying, no, not out of pride, but out of self-respect. It's hard at first to distance yourself from those who were once close to your heart. You may feel guilty, confused, or even lonely. But over time, you begin to see the truth. You were not losing people, you were gaining peace. You start to notice that your days feel lighter, your thoughts calmer, and your heart more at ease. Protecting your energy isn't about building walls, it's about setting healthy boundaries. It's about understanding that not everyone deserves a seat at your table, especially those who bring chaos instead of calm. Imagine a person who always gives their time, their energy, their love. They are always there for everyone, yet no one seems to be there for them. They keep pouring into others until they feel empty. Then one day, they decide to pause. They take time alone to reflect. In that solitude, they realize that they've been giving from a place of exhaustion, not abundance. They understand that real relationships are mutual, not one-sided. They learn to give without losing themselves. That moment of realization is powerful because it shifts everything. They no longer chase people to prove their worth, they attract people who recognize it naturally. Life constantly teaches us to be selective with who we allow into our hearts. Energy is contagious. Spend too much time around negativity and you start to feel drained. Surround yourself with peace and you begin to bloom. When you protect your energy, you start to notice the subtle difference between those who uplift you and those who exhaust you. You can sense when someone's presence feels heavy and when someone's presence feels like light. That awareness only grows when you spend time alone and learn to recognize how you feel without external influence. In solitude, your vision becomes clear. You start to see beyond fake smiles and empty promises. You stop chasing validation because you finally understand your value doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. Some people may misunderstand your distance, they may call you selfish or cold. But what they don't realize is that your silence is not anger, it's peace. You've simply chosen to protect your soul from unnecessary noise. Protecting your energy doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you care wisely. You start giving love to those who appreciate it, time to those who value it, and space to those who misuse it. You begin to invest your emotions where they can grow, not where they are constantly drained. You stop explaining your worth and start living it. That's when your inner power truly awakens. In the journey of life, people will come and go. Some will lift you higher, others will test your patience. But remember this, every person you meet reflects something about you. The ones who love you remind you of your goodness. The ones who hurt you remind you of your strength. Every connection, whether brief or lasting, shapes your understanding of yourself. And as you grow, your energy changes, which means not everyone can continue with you on the same path. It's not rejection, it's realignment. The universe gently removes those who no longer match your vibration so that you can continue to rise without being held down by unnecessary weight. Think of your peace as a garden. You must nurture it, water it, and protect it from weeds. Not everyone who enters your garden comes to admire the flowers, some come to pick them. You can't stop people from trying, but you can choose who stays inside your gates. The moment you realize that your peace is your responsibility, your life begins to transform. You stop waiting for others to protect your heart and start doing it yourself. You understand that self-respect is not selfish, it's sacred. So, let go of the guilt for walking away from those who drain your spirit. Let go of the need to please everyone. Let go of the idea that love means tolerating disrespect. Protecting your energy means honoring your growth. It means knowing that you are worthy of calm, worthy of respect, and worthy of genuine connection. When you create space by letting go of what no longer serves you, the right people, the ones who match your healed, peaceful energy, begin to enter your life naturally. Not everyone deserves access to your heart, because not everyone knows how to handle something so pure. Value your peace, protect your light, choose your company wisely. Because the moment you do, you'll realize that peace of mind is far more valuable than the approval of the world. And in that realization, you'll find a freedom that no one can ever take away. Growth never happens in comfort. It happens in silence, in separation, in moments when life feels heavy and unclear. Just like a seed must go deep into the dark soil before it can rise into the sunlight, your growth begins in the quiet times when no one sees your struggle. Separation often feels painful, but what if that pain is not punishment? What if it's preparation? Sometimes God removes you from certain people, places, or situations not because you are being rejected, but because you are being redirected. Growth requires space, and often that space is created through distance. When life starts pulling you away from things you thought you needed, it can feel confusing. You might wonder, why is this happening to me? Why are people leaving? Why am I feeling alone? But with time, you start to see that every ending was leading you toward a beginning. Every closed door was guiding you toward a new path. Growth demands that you shed your old layers, habits, attachments, and even relationships that no longer align with who you're becoming. It's not easy to let go, but it's necessary to move forward. In daily life, this can be seen everywhere. Think of a student who moves away from home for the first time, scared, uncertain, but full of potential. In the beginning, the separation from family and familiarity feels painful. But as time passes, that same student learns independence, confidence, and responsibility. They discover parts of themselves that would have remained hidden if they had stayed in their comfort zone. Growth often wears the mask of loneliness, but underneath it lies transformation. Many times we try to hold on to things that no longer serve us because they feel familiar. We cling to friendships that have lost meaning, jobs that no longer inspire us, or habits that keep us stuck. We tell ourselves, I can't let go, when in truth, it's not the loss that scares us, it's the change. But remember this, you can't grow while holding on to what keeps you small. Separation is not the enemy, stagnation is. When life separates you from something, it's usually because something greater is waiting ahead. Think about a caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, it must go into complete isolation inside a cocoon. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening, but inside, an incredible transformation is taking place. The caterpillar dissolves into something completely new. That process isn't comfortable. It's dark, quiet, and uncertain. Yet, without that period of separation, the butterfly could never spread its wings. The same is true for you. When life feels like it's falling apart, it might just be falling into place. There are moments in life when you must step away from noise to find clarity. Growth doesn't happen when you're constantly surrounded by distractions. It happens when you pause long enough to hear your inner voice. Maybe you've noticed this in your own life. When you finally take a break from social media, from constant chatter, or from people who drain you, suddenly Your thoughts become clearer. You start understanding what you truly want, not what the world tells you to want. That awareness is the beginning of growth. Separation also tests your patience. It teaches you to trust the timing of your journey. You might not see results immediately, and that's okay. Trees don't grow overnight. The roots develop quietly underground long before the branches reach for the sky. In the same way, when you're going through a season of solitude or distance, you're growing roots, strength, wisdom, resilience, and self-belief. You're becoming ready for the blessings that are meant for you. It's also important to understand that not everyone will grow with you. As you evolve, your energy changes. The conversations that once excited you may start to feel empty. The people who once understood you might not relate to your new perspective. It can be painful when you realize you no longer fit where you used to belong. But that's not a sign of failure, it's a sign of growth. You're not meant to shrink yourself to stay in the same place. You're meant to rise higher, even if it means standing alone for a while. In daily life, there are countless examples of this. Someone might leave a toxic friendship or a relationship because they realize their peace is more valuable than being accepted. Someone might quit a job that drains their spirit to follow a dream that feeds their soul. These acts of separation are not acts of rebellion. They are acts of faith. They are whispers of courage saying, I deserve to grow even if it means walking alone for now. During these moments, it's easy to question yourself. Doubt whispers, what if I made the wrong choice? But growth often feels uncomfortable because it's stretching you beyond what you've known. The discomfort is not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you're moving in the right direction. Every period of separation brings a lesson, and every lesson brings strength. There comes a time when you must trust that distance doesn't destroy what's meant for you. What's real will stay, and what's not will fade away. The people, opportunities, and energies that align with your higher purpose will find you when you are ready. That's why growth requires patience and faith. You must believe that while you're in the dark, something beautiful is forming within you. So, when life pulls you into isolation, don't panic. When friends drift away, don't chase. When old paths close, don't despair. Instead, look within and ask, what am I being prepared for? Because every stage of separation is a stage of creation. It's life's gentle way of cleansing your path so that you can walk into your next chapter lighter, wiser, and stronger. Growth requires separation, not to break you, but to build you. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. And when you finally emerge from that quiet season, you'll look back and realize that everything you thought you lost was simply making space for everything you were meant to become. Loneliness and aloneness may sound the same, but they are worlds apart. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness. It comes when you depend on others to fill the silence within you. Aloneness, on the other hand, is strength. It is the joy of being with yourself without needing anyone else to complete you. Loneliness makes you crave company, while aloneness makes you value your own presence. When you embrace aloneness, you realize that peace is not found in the presence of people, but in the presence of self-awareness and divine connection. So many people fear being alone because they associate it with rejection, sadness, or failure. They think if they're alone, something must be wrong with them. But have you ever noticed that some of your most peaceful moments happen when you're by yourself? When you sit in silence with a cup of tea, take a walk under the evening sky, or listen to the sound of rain without distractions. Those moments are not loneliness. They're reminders that your soul enjoys simplicity. In aloneness, you reconnect with what truly matters. You hear your thoughts clearly, you feel your emotions deeply, and you start to see life with new eyes. Loneliness depends on the outside world. It says, I need someone to make me feel whole. Aloneness depends on your inner world. It says, I am whole already. When you truly understand this difference, everything changes. You stop searching for happiness in other people and instead you start creating it within yourself. You begin to love your own company. You start to find comfort in silence, beauty in stillness, and strength in solitude. Think about how often we seek validation from others, waiting for someone to text, to call, to appreciate, or to notice us. When they don't, we feel lonely, thinking we're unloved or forgotten. But what if you stopped waiting for others to make you feel valued? What if you started appreciating yourself the same way you want others to? That's when loneliness turns into aloneness, when you shift from needing love to being loved. In daily life, we all experience moments that test our ability to be alone. Maybe you've gone through heartbreak and suddenly found yourself without the person you thought you couldn't live without. At first, the silence feels unbearable, the days seem longer, and everything reminds you of what's missing. But slowly, as time passes, that silence begins to heal you. You start reading again, exploring your interests, talking to yourself with kindness, rediscovering what makes you happy. You realize that you never needed someone else to bring meaning to your life. You just needed to look within. That's the gift of aloneness. It teaches you self-reliance, self-respect, and inner peace. When you are truly comfortable being alone, you stop settling for less. You stop clinging to relationships that drain your energy just to avoid solitude. You understand that your peace is far too valuable to trade for temporary company. Aloneness teaches you patience. It reminds you that it's better to wait for genuine connections than to accept shallow ones. It gives you the courage to walk away from anything that disturbs your inner harmony. In today's world, where everyone is constantly connected, through phones, social media, and endless chatter, the idea of being alone seems unusual, but it's exactly what most people need. In the constant noise, we lose touch with ourselves. We forget what our own voice sounds like. We forget what truly makes us happy. Spending time alone reconnects you to your authenticity. It's like pressing a reset button on your soul. You start to realize that the peace you were chasing outside was always waiting for you inside. When you experience true aloneness, you begin to understand that solitude is not emptiness, it's fullness. It's a space where you meet your own soul, where you find your inner balance. You learn to enjoy simple things again. The warmth of the morning sun, the sound of your heartbeat, the calm of a quiet evening. You no longer fear being alone because you realize that you're never truly alone. God's presence, silent yet powerful, always surrounds you. When you sit quietly and breathe, you can feel that divine connection. You start to see that even in solitude, you are guided, loved, and supported. There is a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. You can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely if your heart is disconnected from yourself. And you can be sitting in silence and feel deeply fulfilled when your heart is aligned with peace. Loneliness is absence, aloneness is awareness. When you choose awareness, your energy changes. You start glowing differently, not because life is perfect, but because you've made peace with yourself. Imagine a person who once feared solitude, but slowly learns to love it. They start spending their evenings reading, journaling, or simply reflecting on their thoughts. They no longer seek constant distractions. They start noticing how calm they feel when they're alone. They begin to smile without reason, not because something happened, but because they finally feel content within. That's the transformation from loneliness to aloneness, when your solitude becomes your sanctuary. Being alone also strengthens your relationship with the divine. In moments of quiet reflection, your prayers become deeper, not because you speak more, but because you listen more. You start to feel guided in ways you can't explain. You begin to trust the journey, even when you don't see the destination. That's the power of aloneness. It connects you to something greater than yourself. So, don't be afraid of being alone. Don't rush to fill the silence with people or noise. Let yourself sit in stillness and listen to your inner voice. Let yourself rediscover who you are when no one else is around. Loneliness fades the moment you realize that you are enough, that your worth, your joy, and your peace come from within, not from others. When you embrace aloneness, you no longer run from silence, you run toward it. You start seeing it as your sacred space, a place where you can breathe, heal, and grow. You learn that the more you enjoy your own company, the more you attract people who also bring peace, not noise. Because the truth is simple, you were never truly alone. You just needed to meet the most important person in your life, yourself. Your energy is your life force. It's the invisible power that shapes how you feel, how you think, and what you attract. When your energy is calm and centered, everything around you feels lighter and more peaceful. But when your energy is drained or disturbed, even the simplest moments start to feel heavy. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it's sacred. It's a form of self-respect that says, I will no longer allow anything or anyone to disturb my inner peace. The moment you begin to understand this, your life starts to change in ways you never imagined. There are days when you wake up feeling heavy, even without a clear reason. It's not your body that's tired, it's your spirit. You might have been surrounded by negativity, chaos, or constant demands from others. You might have been giving too much of yourself, trying to please everyone while forgetting to care for your own soul. This is where the importance of protecting your energy begins. Your peace of mind is not something to be negotiated. It's your responsibility to guard it. In daily life, we encounter countless situations that test our energy: gossip, arguments, toxic environments, fake kindness, and emotional manipulation. If you let all of that enter your heart, you'll find yourself constantly drained, confused, and restless. Protecting your energy means being aware of what you allow in, not just through people, but through what you watch, listen to, and even think about. Energy flows where attention goes. If your attention is always on negativity, fear, or drama, your inner peace will slowly fade. But when you focus on calmness, gratitude, and positivity, your soul starts to bloom again. Think of your energy as a beautiful garden. Every thought you have, every person you interact with, every emotion you hold, it's like planting a seed. Some seeds grow into flowers, and others grow into weeds. Protecting your energy means being a careful gardener of your soul. You can't let anyone walk into your garden with dirty shoes. You have to decide what kind of energy is allowed to stay and what must be removed. This doesn't mean shutting everyone out. It means being wise about who and what you allow to influence your peace. For example, imagine you have a friend who constantly complains, gossips, or talks negatively about others. Each time you meet them, you leave feeling emotionally exhausted. It's not that you dislike them, but you notice their energy weighs you down. Protecting your energy doesn't mean you have to fight or argue with them. It simply means creating healthy distance. You can still be kind, but you don't have to participate in negativity. You can still care, but you don't have to carry their emotional baggage. That's wisdom, that's self-respect. As you begin to heal and grow, your sensitivity to energy increases. You start to notice how certain people or environments affect your mood. Loud, chaotic spaces begin to feel uncomfortable. Shallow conversations drain you faster. You no longer enjoy constant noise or meaningless drama. You start craving peace, real deep, quiet peace. And the more you protect your energy, the more your life begins to align with that peace. You attract people who are calm, genuine, and uplifting because your energy mirrors theirs. Protecting your energy also means being careful with your own thoughts. Sometimes, the negativity doesn't come from others, it comes from within. When you constantly doubt yourself, replay painful memories, or criticize your own worth, you are draining your own energy. You must become your own protector, even from your inner storms. Speak to yourself kindly. Forgive your past. Let go of what you can't control. Remember that your thoughts are powerful. They shape the vibration of your soul. In the rush of modern life, we often forget that silence is a form of protection. When you choose to stay quiet instead of reacting to negativity, you are saving your energy. When you walk away from arguments, instead of proving a point, you are preserving your peace. When you stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand, you are choosing inner balance over external approval. Every time you choose peace over reaction, you are strengthening your energy field. There will be moments when protecting your energy feels lonely. When you set boundaries, some people may not understand. They may call you distant, cold, or proud. But what they don't realize is that you are simply choosing peace over chaos. You are not shutting people out. You are letting peace in. You're learning to love yourself enough to say, "Not everything deserves my attention. Not everyone deserves my access." That is not arrogance, that's awareness. You will notice that as your energy becomes clearer, your path becomes clearer too. Opportunities flow more easily. Your health improves. Your sleep becomes deeper. You start smiling more, worrying less. Why? Because you're no longer carrying energy that doesn't belong to you. You're finally walking light, aligned with your true self. This is what happens when you stop letting the world drain you and start letting peace sustain you. Think of someone who used to argue constantly, take everything personally, and react to every small thing. Over time, they learn to pause, breathe, and choose calmness instead of chaos. Slowly, they noticed how much lighter their life became. That's the magic of protecting your energy. It changes not only how you feel, but how you experience the world. The same people, the same situations, no longer have the same power over you because you've learned to respond with peace instead of reaction. Protecting your energy doesn't mean avoiding challenges. It means facing them with balance. It means knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to give and when to step back, when to love and when to let go. It's a dance of awareness and wisdom. And the more you practice it, the stronger your inner peace becomes. So guard your energy like the precious gift it is. Not everyone deserves to know your thoughts, to drain your emotions, or to touch your peace. Learn to say no without guilt, to rest without apology, and to walk away without anger. Because when you protect your energy, you are protecting your purpose, your happiness, and your connection with the divine. And that, more than anything else, is what keeps your spirit alive and your soul glowing with calm, unshakable light.